Israel should be wiped off the map is in New York City today at the United Nations. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad will be followed by the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. They're going to face off over the nuclear treaty that both countries are accusing the other of violating. Jim Walsh has met Ahmadinejad several times. He's an international security expert as well as a research associate at MIT Security Studies program. How you doing, Jim? And good morning to you up there in Boston. Do you have drinking water in Boston, by the way?
I do not, Bill. I'm one of these I'm one of these Dr. Doom types. I actually had several gallons stored away, so I'm in good shape.
Well, you're well prepared, but millions are without it right now. So that was another story we covered a few moments ago. So Ahmadinejad comes here, and he gets a platform. What's he going to do with this opportunity, Jim?
I think he's going to give a speech. He's trying to work both on foreign policy and speak to a domestic audience back home, because even as he gives that speech, there'll be people at the UN, at the Security Council, meeting on a second sanctions resolution. So he's pushing back on that and also trying to, because things are dicey back in Iran, he's also probably trying to look good at home.
So I'm looking at the schedule. He goes first, and then later Secretary Clinton talks. She goes later into the day.
That's right.
And what does she say?
Well, she's had her own pretty tough rhetoric the last several weeks. It'll be interesting to see the extent to which she singles out Iran. People always talk about Iran and North Korea, but the rules of the treaty conference are such that if you're going to get an agreement a month from now when the conference ends, everyone, 100% of the delegates, have to vote in support of that. So that means Iran has to vote in support of that conference report if it's going to pass. So it'll be interesting to see if she tones it down. I doubt it. I think we're going to have a clash here today. But then again, my experience is...
Well, where's the clash going to come from, Jim?
Well, I mean, the verbal clash. That is to say, Iran's going to attack the U.S. I think Clinton is going to be aggressive in her comments about Iran. But it's important to keep in mind, Bill, my experience with Iranians and the U.S. government, for that matter, often there's a public face. That public face is more aggressive. And then in private, there's a little more patience, a little more wiggle room, a little more willingness to negotiate. So the real question for me is, are any of those folks going to be meeting in private, on side meetings? Will Iranian officials talk to American officials while they're in town?
But sometimes we don't even find that out in the end. Listen, we're looking at the floor of the UN General Assembly on the East River here in New York City. I don't know how many more arrows that guy has in his quiver, Ahmadinejad. You've got the Secretary General of the UN saying if this nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, then come out and prove it.
Yeah, that's right. And there's also the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. But I will tell you that in private meetings, Iranians continue to insist that they're willing to talk. And you'll remember way back when, 6-7 months ago, there was this thing called the Tehran Research Reactor deal. And that seems to have had another life. They're talking about negotiating and compromising there so that something can be worked out. So we'll have hot rhetoric, but below the surface, there may be talks going on about the substance of the thing.
All right, Jim Walsh, you know this stuff better than anybody. Thank you for coming in today out of Boston today. Good luck with your drinking water. Bottled water.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Jim.